Good morning from Halifax. I know it doesn't quite look like morning in green screen land, but it is the second day of the Craven meeting at the time of recording, which means we're ever so slightly or ever so slowly moving into the flat season now, which means it conjoins with the release of our latest Horses to Follow book. I've got our flat editor alongside me, David Johnson, who's going to talk us through what the book is all about.
It is, yeah, we've got it here, the latest copy. We tried to get it out just in time for the Doncaster-Lincoln meeting, and we just about did again. But there's so much in there, and it's all about horses that are building up, like you say, to the Guineas, Royal Ascot, much later in the season. So it's not just about, I didn't get it in time for Doncaster, it's not worth buying. There's absolutely loads in there. When we first started doing it, it was literally just 50 to follow from the Timeform editorial team, but there's a lot more than that in there now. I think we do trainer interviews, there's Irish horses to follow, there's horses that have impressed on sectional times, there's an Ante-post focus as well that looks at the classics as well. So, you know, for £10.95, it's not just about a case of getting these horses to follow and having them blind. Sort of think about it as like using this as like a study guide. You know, you can get those things that help you doing your GCSEs that save you having to read the book. This is the equivalent of that. We'll give you that heads up, a reminder of all those interesting horses from last year that you want to be looking at coming up over the next few weeks and months.
Absolutely, and as well with the Easter being so late, the borderlines feel more skewed than usual between National Hunt and Flat. So we're only just getting there. It's only the all-weather championships on Friday, and the Jockeys and Trainers Championships don't even start until Guineas Day.
No, exactly. You do sort of get the feeling nowadays that the season is geared around the Guineas onwards, and obviously, you know, it soon rolls on from there. Derby trials straight away. You know, you get Chester the week after that, the Dante, and it's the Derby. Say goodbye to that, it's Royal Ascot. You know, there's a wonderful, you know, hate to use the word narrative as, you know, but it really does flow so well on the flat. It's not about just 2 or 3 big meetings like the Jumps is.
So to plug the book a little, we've both picked 3 horses each out of the 50 that have caught our eye. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go?
Yeah, I'll go first with one of them. Morrison, he's made a really good start to the season, so I'm hoping to see Craster out pretty soon. He's had 3 runs as a 2-year-old, and one of them stands out as being absolutely key, and that was when he finished 3rd at Bath, I think, on his 2nd start. He shaped best that day. He went for home too soon probably and was outstayed by a couple of horses. The Max We Can and Sky Max are both sons of Maxios, lots of stamina. That form's proved really strong. The first 2 have come out and won since, one of them including in a nursery. So that was the winner won, I think, off a mark of 80. Craster's on 79. So based on that form line, we definitely think that Craster's a well-handicapped horse. He just looks a really good prospect for handicaps at a 1.25 miles plus over the next few weeks and months. So, do you want to now do one of yours?
Yeah, okay. So I've gone for 3 3-year-olds, looking ahead to the future, and the first one is called Happy Power. He's represents the emerging force that is King Power Racing. Very much came into the flat racing scene last year. And he was very much a steady improver as a 2-year-old last season. Got off the mark at the 2nd time of asking up at Hamilton in August, and signed off with 2 wins from 4 starts. He was a convincing winner on his first start in Handicap Company, won a new nursery at Doncaster in October, and the good thing about the time of this video is that he's already made a winning return this season. He won a competitive looking handicap at Newbury, didn't turn out that way. He won that by 5 lengths just 5 days ago, and the impression from that is that he very much looks a group horse in the making. He's bred to be smart. He cost $625,000 as a yearling, and it'd be no surprise really to see him head to something like the Jersey Stakes next, and he's a real rapidly progressing and looks a nice type for this season.
Yeah, I mean, those owners have absolutely not been shy at the sales, have they? They've had several horses, you know, where they've been spending 6 figures, and it is good to see new owners coming through, and hopefully they've got some good horses there. I certainly think we've got a few in there in those colours, haven't we? Is it Bangkok as well? That was an impressive winner at Doncaster back at the Lincoln meeting, and we saw that form boosted with the Huey Morrison horse coming out and winning at Windsor on Monday night, so that could be one to follow as well. I think that's going to run in the Dante, so interesting times for those owners, definitely.
Okay, so who's your second horse to follow?
We've got Dazzling Dan of Pam Sly's, and you know, we know Pam Sly can do the job, but I'm old enough to remember when she won the 1,000 guineas with Speciosas. It's like we say in the book, that was 13 years ago, so definitely a case of me showing my age. But Dazzling Dan, I'm hoping, has gone under the radar a little bit because of the yard, but he's got some really strong juvenile form. He was second to Jash on his second start, I think. Jash came out to finish second in the Middle Park. After that, he was second to Watan, who brought group form to the table. He was second in the Acomb. And then, without anything of that calibre to take on, he won a maiden on November Handicap Day at Doncaster by 4 lengths. You know, really impressive there. He's only got a BHA mark of 89, so his time form rating of 99, we think he's well handicapped. And these 3-year-old sprint handicappers, there's a really good programme for them. Good races at the Guineas meeting. You know, it just goes all the way through. There's a valuable race at on Charity Day at York as well. I'm not saying he'll win one of them in particular, but you wouldn't be surprised if he's not placed to advantage in one of them somewhere down the line this season. It's
interesting you mentioned Speciosa as well, because if I remember correctly, I wrote the preview for the Nell Gwyn yesterday. She was the last winner of the Nell Gwyn to win the Guineas,
That's
so
it,
it'd be interesting to see how yesterday's winner gets on, because she looked a nice prospect yesterday.
She did. She might be a bit of a spoiler, but I've got a feeling that she might be in here as well. Or did she get left out on the cutting room floor? Yeah, it looks like she did. If only we'd have done 51 to follow, I think. Yeah.
So the second 3-year-old I've noted down is called Private Secretary, and caught the eye in 2 starts as a juvenile last season for John Gosden. He rarely has a bad 2-year-old, and he was a well-backed favourite on debut at Yarmouth in August. That's usually a pretty good sign that a Gosden run is well thought of when they're being sent off for short price on debut. Was only second that day, but the form's worked out really well since, and it led to him being sent off as favourite again on his next start at Nottingham in November. It was pretty rain-softened conditions that day, and found a useful prospect too good, but finished the season with having the potential of one who looked capable of winning plenty of races as a 3-year-old. And he's another who has actually made a winning return. He won at Redcar earlier this month, showed signs of an experience that day when doing so, but he's bred to be smart. He's a son of Kingman and looks the type that should make up into a useful form this year, should pick up a few wins on the way.
Yeah, definitely looks a good horse, and like you say, these Gosden horses, once they get rolling, they can keep improving. And I was impressed with him. Was it Kempton that he made a winning reappearance?
Redcar, I think.
Gotcha. Right, yeah, Redcar, that's right. Let's hope that he can keep winning races, definitely.
Last but not least, what's your third and final pick for us?
Yeah, it's one of Rog Charlton's, and it's called Red Impression. She's got a time form rating of 110p, which is very high for a juvenile filly that hasn't had a run in Pattern Company. And visually, she couldn't have done any more. She's 2 from 2. The second of those wins was at Lingfield, and she blew the course record apart without really coming off the bridle. It was a very fast time on the Timeform time figures, and she clocked a really good sectional time as well. So it all stacks up really well. Now, Rog Charlton could have given her one more run and got her qualified for all-weather finals day, but I think it's significant that he obviously sees her as a cut above, you know, being a winter horse and that kind of level. So she's been saved for a turf campaign, and she looks a pattern sprinter in the making to me. Like I say, with a time form rating of 110p, she'll obviously get the fillies allowance, so that sort of makes her the equivalent of 113 for a colt. She wouldn't have that much to find with the likes of Jash and the Middle Park. I think he's rated 118 and 10 Sovereigns is 120, but they've obviously had the opportunity to run to those higher ratings, whereas she's only been in novice company. I think she's a really lively one for the Commonwealth Cup. Had a quick look on Odds Checker before I came down here, and can get as big as 25. So if you take one thing from this and you're looking for a cheeky Ante-post bet, 25's for the Commonwealth Cup for her is one to get involved with, I think.
Yeah, very interesting. I'll move on to my third and final one now, which is it's called Wise Counsel. Steadily progressive last year. Another 3-year-old took 4 goes to get off the mark last season. But before that, actually had some really strong form to his name along the way. On his 3rd start, he finished 3rd to 2 subsequently smart 2-year-olds at Haydock in September. San Donato, who's now rated 115p, and Hello Umzame, who's 112p. So that looks really good form, and it led to him being sent off at Haydock again later that month at very, very short odds. I think it was 2-7. Justified favouritism, didn't have to get off the bridle to do so. And on the back of that has been given an opening handicap mark of 87, which looks pretty lenient on what he's shown so far, considering that he's got a really good top physique, and he's got a smart pedigree as well. He's a half-brother to Nuzo Canarias, if you remember him from a few years ago at Royal Ascot. Speed looks his main asset. He's a real quick sprinter and appeals as the type who can win some really good sprint handicaps this year for Clive Cox, who typically does very well with sprinters. Yeah,
just a real solid trainer is Clive Cox. I think, what I call a good target trainer, in that, there's obviously a plan with a lot of his horses and they tend to execute it to the letter, and we know what he can do with sprinters with that good old Harry Angel. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how Wise Counsel gets on.
Okay, if you are interested in buying the book, looking at the full 50 and everything else in there, it's on timeform.com at the shop. It's available on Amazon. It's available at places like WH Smith, I believe. So it is available to get it. If you're struggling to find links, get in touch with our guys on social media. They'll point you in the right